Starting a business is hard enough. And if you're not a technical founder, sometimes the hardest part or one of the hardest challenges of getting your new business off the ground is the tech side. So in this video, we're going to cover how to start a business with no-code tools and how to make that tech side a little bit easier. Now, there are so many different no-code software tools that you can use to help you get your business off the ground. But in this video, we're going to cover three main tools: Airtable, Circle, and Notion. Now, I do want to plug a fourth tool that we won't really cover in this video, but if you really want to get a robust app or really a robust software, I would highly recommend using Bubble, because Bubble can allow you to build a complete software system without writing a single line of code. And Bubble, if you're maybe a graphic designer already, or maybe you're familiar with the Adobe suite, Bubble can be relatively easy to kind of pick up. But if you're not really used to the Adobe suite, Bubble can be a little bit of a learning curve with it. Now, there's a little bit of a learning curve comparatively to Airtable, Circle, and Notion. So that's why I'm not covering it extensively in this video, because I really want to cover the tools that are easy to pick up and you can maybe get that minimum viable product or MVP off the ground as fast as possible, especially if you're not a technical founder. With these no-code tools of Airtable, Circle, and Notion, there are so many different things you can do with them, and I could go into each one of them and show you all these different use cases, but to me that's more distracting more than anything and just overwhelming. So I thought the best way to really demonstrate how they can be helpful in getting a new business off the ground is really just showing you three different use cases and how these tools can work separately but also together. So we're going to cover three different use cases. The first will be creating a marketplace business. The second will be creating a community business. And the third is just being a consultant with these no-code tools. Let's start with use case number one, and that is creating a marketplace business. Now, in this use case, we're going to lean really heavily into Airtable. If you don't know what Airtable is, I do have a couple other videos that I'll have the links in the description below that you can check out. But Airtable, I think, is one of my favorite no-code tools available, and I think it does a really phenomenal job in helping you get started with a new marketplace business. So let's go into how it can actually help you get that marketplace business off the ground. As a precursor to building this new marketplace business in Airtable, really want to remind you that we're trying to build a minimum viable product or an MVP for getting your new business off the ground. So this won't be super polished, but it's a great starting point that you can then build off of, that you can continue to polish out, make it prettier, and make it even better as you move forward. But really what you're trying to do, again, with an MVP is to show that you have a viable business and you're solving a real problem. So Airtable can at least help you get that ball rolling, and maybe you build with it with Airtable for the long term, maybe or maybe not. That's okay. But again, we're just trying to get you started with no-code tools and getting your new business off the ground. The first step that I would take in creating a new marketplace business with no-code tools would be to create an Airtable form. Now, an Airtable form is similar to a Google form if you've used those, but I'd keep it really simple just for sellers to be able to post their items onto your marketplace. So it'd be really simple, like item title, status, item description, how much they're selling it for, all those basic information that they need. Now they can even upload a photo of what that item looks like. Now with that, you now have to have a place where all of those items are available for potential buyers to be able to buy those items. And the beautiful part about Airtable is that all those items can then be organized automatically through the different views that Airtable allows you to create. And the way I would operate would be to actually create a gallery view in Airtable that's then shareable and can be posted publicly or even embedded into your own site, so it looks a little more polished. So let's say you are marketing to buyers, you just share one link and they can see everything that is available with their photos and just the information that they need. So if you're asking sellers for maybe more information than a buyer might need, let's say you're trying to do some data collection or just whatever it might be, you can show just what the buyer might need. They don't need to know all the information that a seller is maybe sending to you. So you can hide different information, you can show all of it. It's really up to you. That's kind of one of the beautiful parts about Airtable, but you can create a customized view through gallery view for buyers to be able to buy those items through that. So that just, again, gets you started with it. Now, the next step, let's say, there's a sale that actually happens. Well, then actually the seller can remove it from that gallery view and actually change the status themselves. And I would do this again through an Airtable form where it's like they actually can select their posted item, and that posted item is then linked from what they posted already from when they were selling it. So they don't have to re-enter the title or anything like that. They can just pull it up so it's automatically linked, which is really awesome. That's a really nice Airtable feature. Then, if you want to ask what the selling price was to see, how well your platform is doing, you can ask that and kind of match and do some data analysis of whether or not your platform is actually working. So, but the other piece with the Airtable as well is that Airtable has really beautiful automations. And when that, let's say the item is sold, you can actually have Airtable change the status from available to sold. So it's not even showing up in that gallery view that we just talked about. It's a pretty nifty feature. And you could even build out even more with the Airtable automations, like an automatic email to sellers, make sure they actually change the status. You can make that as a marketing email to the buyers that are kind of in your marketplace. There are so many different automations that you can create with Airtable. So if you are building a new marketplace business with Airtable, I would really highly recommend checking out what kinds of automations you can build out. The other thing I'll mention here too is that you don't have to create this entire marketplace business example, through Airtable yourself. You don't have to build it from scratch. This template that you're seeing here is actually downloadable through Gumroad, and that link is in the description below. So you can use that, copy the base, and build off of that for your new marketplace business. Now let's skip ahead a little bit and say you got some traction with this MVP, and now you want to keep building on top of the product that you've already built out and get kind of past that MVP stage. Now you can continue to use Airtable if you'd like. If you're really loving that, there's ways to kind of continue building off of that. One way might be to embed all the Airtable bases into a Webflow site, so it's really kind of clean into your own branding. Or the other way, which is a little more complex, would be to use Softer, which actually connects straight to Airtable and is meant to build a full website using Airtable. So check out the different tools. This is one of the beautiful parts about no-code tools in general, is that they're meant to work together and integrate with one another. Moving on to use case number 2 with no-code tools and starting a new business is building a community business. Now, if you haven't noticed, in the last 20 years within this new digital age and social media, the way we build and manage communities has really drastically shifted. Now, it's shifted from maybe more religious groups into all these different communities around businesses, around just really topics, around interests. It's really evolved into some really cool ways that we build community. Now, there's pluses and minuses, and we're not going to cover that in this video, but there's definitely been, especially during this COVID-19 pandemic, lots of opportunity to build a business around community and really just building a community that is a business. So that's what we're going to cover in this use case, and how you can actually build and manage that this community with no-code tools. And kind of naturally, we're going to lean into the no-code tool of Circle. Now, some examples of communities that have been built, especially during this pandemic time, would be NESS Labs, SPI Pro, or even MakerPad. And these communities are all doing really well. They're doing 10K plus a month in revenue. And even MakerPad, they were acquired by Zapier. Zapier is a multi-billion-dollar company. So there are lots of opportunities again in this community space. And also the one common thread in all 3 of those communities is that they're all using Circle, because it's so intuitive, easy to use, and makes building a community business a lot easier. So let's dive into what Circle is and how you might use it. Now, Circle is a community management platform. And the way I like to think of Circle is that it's LinkedIn meets Facebook, and it's your own. And you can customize it to your own community preferences. Now, with all of that, keep in mind that Circle is a really young no-code startup. They only are a couple of years old, but they still have gotten a lot of different traction. So much so that they recently raised over $24 million and a $200 million valuation. So they're developing really quickly, but I think they're here to stay just by the traction and amount of funding they're getting. It's all really exciting, and they keep developing really game-changing features that I think will really allow you to create a whole community business within just Circle. You don't need all the different no-code tools in general. Now, yes, you can. Circle does integrate with all these different no-code tools, just like the others, but the way Circle's trending is that you'll be able to do all these different things all within Circle. So Just this past year, they released paywalls so you can capture payments and everything through Circle. You'll be able to manage your own events. You won't need like systems like Eventbrite or Luma necessarily, or you won't even necessarily need like an Airtable based kind of keep track of everybody. Circle can do that as well. Now, if you like Airtable like myself, you can keep track and do all these automations with it. That's one way to do it. Now, if you're looking to start a community business, I highly recommend using Circle to try it out. But then maybe you want to build off of that and do like a matchmaking system, or maybe create a wiki of information for them. You could create that matchmaking system through Airtable, and you can create maybe a wiki of information through Airtable or even Notion, and have those links within your Circle community. So again, really highly recommend Circle if you're looking at building a community business, because it's a really beautiful platform, and I think it's only going to get better, especially how fast Circle has been developing and just iterating and making it even better as a community building platform. Let's move on to our third and final use case in this video on how to start a business with no-code tools, and that is creating a consultancy with no-code tools. Now, if you're someone that just wants to be a consultant, or maybe just want to work with all the different no-code tools all the time and help other organizations, building a consultancy with these no-code tools is definitely a viable route. Now, one tool that's become really popular with this is actually using Notion. And Notion even has what they call Notion certified consultants, where you have to kind of prove that you are an expert in Notion. And Notion, the tool itself, will give you a stamp of yes, you are. It's a stamp of approval that yes, you are an expert in Notion. Now, there are plenty of opportunities. Notion's not the only one. You can use Airtable, you can use Circle, we can mention Bubbles, and another one's become more popular. If you just become an expert in just one of the no-code tools, there are plenty of opportunities. Now, if you're like, well, where are those opportunities? I would say there's two main places you can look. One would be just on Twitter and just searching Twitter for, people are actually tweeting out, hey, I need help with this or that, or maybe they just need help building out their MVP itself, and you can actually build an MVP with no-code tools. Maybe it's a whole suite. The other place, which I've seen it more popular, is actually through the site or sites like Upwork, where it's a consultancy with people posting projects that need to be completed, and you can sign up and really apply for those jobs, or those projects through Upwork. So if you're looking for opportunities to just really explore no-code tools, maybe just kind of get your feet wet with these no-code tools, but get paid for it, building a consultancy around them can be really helpful, and you get to see how these other businesses operate and maybe help them really become more effective with no-code tools. So that's the quick preview on how to start a business with no-code tools. Like I mentioned, we only covered a few no-code tools in this video, and there are so many different ones out there. So go explore no-code tools and see which ones provide the best opportunities for you. Now, if you're looking for more content on no-code tools or just general resources on how to start a business, you can go to our website at startstation.co.